Good day. This is the 95th episode of the Frankly Speaking Jamaica podcast. Thank you for joining us yet again and for sharing with us this podcast. Desmond Richards is our regular guest, and we thank him for his service. Our special guest today is Mary White. She is an author, blogger, businesswoman, and much more. Good day to you both. Now, just to give you a quick look ahead, we're going to, and oh no, how could I forget to say this? Technical services support is from Joshua Black Media Services. Now, just to tell you that later today, in another 2 hours, the highlights of this program will be available on this YouTube channel. Now, just to look ahead to this program, which is a half-an-hour program, first I'm going to ask Desmond Richards what he's taking on. Desmond?
Yes, good morning to our listeners and viewers. Well, I have so many things on my mind, but I want to focus on a couple of things. One, I am uncomfortable.
Not hearing you so well, Desmond. Not hearing you so well.
No, I was saying that I am uncomfortable with the Speaker of the House. The current situation where the Prime Minister, her husband, is head of the cabinet, and she is head of the House of Representatives, and that is two of the three pillars of our governance structure in Jamaica: the judiciary, the House, and the cabinet. Now, I observe where she is trying to...
Sorry, Desmond, sorry. So we're coming back to you to make you get a fulsome flow at that one. We're just looking ahead, having the viewers get a sense of where we're going. Mary, welcome.
Thank you, Sir Mac.
Go ahead. Tell us what you were going to be talking to us about today.
Today, I will be talking about dating. And because dating is one of... Yes, dating, whether it's especially the first date, is one of those things that that sets the stage for you to go ahead or get a zero and you're out of the game. So I have some tips based upon some observations that I had the other day while I was out on dinner. I was sort of date watching, and I really saw some people who were like really bad dates. And there was one guy who actually aced it. He got a 10 out of 10 on our list. So we wanted to share our experiences to help improve the dating atmosphere of the Jamaican society.
We will go back to that. I didn't even know that some people take dating seriously. Some of our people, I suspect, do. There's some of these young guys and young girls and older people. I gather people at 60 and 70 are dating too. And 80s. Okay. Now I want to talk about the antisocial behaviors that are so commonly being seen in Jamaica today, and how they're playing out in those crime statistics that we're seeing. You know, just on Friday, police charged a young man, 25, for stabbing his 23-year-old brother in the house where the father was with his partner. I have seen so many things seeming to be going down the drain in the way Jamaicans are relating. But we'll come back to it. I want to start now with Desmond Richards. You have the floor, sir.
Yes, as I was saying earlier, that the current situation where the Prime Minister and his wife head two of the principal structures in our governance structure. The Prime Minister is in charge of the executive, and she is in charge of the House of Representatives. Now I saw where
legislative chamber, at least one part of the chamber. But Desmond, what even before you get deep into it, she was elected by her colleagues in the House. She wasn't imposed upon on us. Are you there? Can Desmond hear us? Desmond, I'm not sure you are here. We're not seeing you. Desmond has departed from us. All right, let's see if are you back, Desmond? Oh, I'm so sorry. All right, so we're going to have to just pick up with Mary. Hope that we get back Desmond quickly and jump in. So Mary, you were telling us that you were out at dinner and saw some bad dating behaviors.
Yes.
Explain to us. Tell us what's happened and what are the good behaviors one should practice.
Okay, so the other night I was out at Epicon Eats, and I must say that congratulations to the people, the men who actually know that if you're trying to get with a woman, inviting her out for dinner or take her out to somewhere nice is just a must do. It's not about trying to shack up at her house to enjoy her company or because you don't want to invest in a date. So, congratulations to all those guys who really put their pockets out there to take the woman out. No, while you do that, you have to make your investment work for you, because a date can be a pretty hefty investment, depends on where you take the woman, right? So you'd want to ensure that you...
I'm thinking about the guy who just has a little laboring job and barely makes above minimum wage. And whether he is supposed to go out and invest money, all he has are borrow from his friends. Mary.
Well, dating is not something that is restricted to financial capability. If you're earning $10, it's not how much you earn, it's how much then you save, they say, or how much you spend on the date to create. Because as women, we will foster the same emotions towards a man if he treats us in a certain way. While you can date a man with $1 million and he never gives you $1 out of that, you're not going to feel warm and pushy towards that man. While you could date a man who earns $10, but he makes it a priority, makes you a priority to give you $1 out of his 10. So you're going to be very warm and cushy towards that man. So that's the first rule that men need to understand. That is not how much money you have, is how you prioritize taking care or giving towards that woman that causes her to feel very warm and fluffy towards you. So while we were out, there were some guys who took out some girls on their date, and I could tell from some of them, the ones that the woman had to be the man to push the whole envelope of, listen, you need to take me out. Me done with this coming to my yard. Me done with this chatting on the phone. Me done with this. It's either you carry me out or this done. So you could see the attitudes. Sometimes they push us there, Mr. Mark. We don't want to go there, but they do. They push us there.
Okay.
I could see the attitudes of those guys who it became an ultimatum. The date was an ultimatum, right? While there were other guys there who you could see really enjoyed treating their women, and so it was a joy for them. So they were that. So here we go now. For example, there was one guy there. From he came in, the lady came, she sat down, had to pull out her own chair, never mind you. He rolled up behind her, pulled out his own chair, and promptly sat down and promptly got on his phone. And that was, the waitress came, interrupted him. He looked at the menu, didn't even wait, didn't even consult with the lady. Have you looked at the menu?
Mary, you're taking a lot for granted, How does this man know that he must do these things. Really?
The same device that they have in their hands, Mr. Matt, that they're attached and connected to.
The phone.
The same device can be very helpful in your personal and your dating life.
That's important because I've seen a situation where a woman and a man were out there, and she went to the chair, and she didn't attempt to even think that the man was going. She pulled out her chair right away herself. She didn't. He never had a chance to, even if he intended to.
Thanks for bringing that up, because there was one such case I noticed the night where the guy brought the girl, right? And she moved towards pulling out her chair, and he had to do some pretty swift footwork because obviously he Googled what it is to be on a good first date, and pulling out the chair was one of them, and he was not going to have this woman upstage him. So she went towards the chair because the waitress sort of got in the way. You know, when you just walk in, the waitress come over to seat you and whatever. And he was purposed on pulling out her chair. So he had to do some pretty swift footwork to get around to her chair, get the waitress out of the way, to pull out her chair. She was surprised because she intended to pull out her chair herself. So I saw her stop, looked up at him, and it's like she took a breath and she sat down. And I could tell you, Mr. Matt, that changed the game for the evening. Oh. That girl was so connected to that guy for the rest of the after the evening that I'm like, look how a simple thing such as pulling out her chair changed the energy.
Okay. All right, Mary. Before we're going to ask you to put in your take the next minute and just go on the point as you want to continue where you are, because we're going to go to Desmond shortly. We'll get him back out to me.
All right. So I don't know if the pointers will come up on my screen because I have them here. Are they? Because I went to check out this place called spoonuniversity.com, who give 10 simple things men should do on a dinner date even better. One of them is know where to
10 things that men should do
on a dinner date.
Okay.
Yes. So here we go. Know where to go. So it even starts before you get to the venue. When you're inviting a woman on the date, you're going to be bold, you're going to be direct, you're going to be clear, and you're going to know clearly where you want to go. So when you invite her on the date, she doesn't have to get in it and do the legwork to figure out where. No, you're going to come with confidence and clarity.
But it's sounding like this is a big event, man.
Huh? It is a big event because it's a big thing, Sir Mac. It's what starts off your relationship and the footing in which you do that. So you have to bring your best game to the table. Else you're going to be swept off with the crumbs. So here we go. So know where to go is one. So make sure you pick the venue. So when you go to her, you're confident. I would like to take you out for dinner 7 o'clock on Wednesday. Are you available for that time? She may not be available Wednesday at 7, so you change the date. Make sure it's a nice place. It's nice and clean. It doesn't have to be expensive. It's not about expensive. It's about a nice place. Clean up yourself. Take the effort to choose your outfit. Go get your hair cut, get yourself shaved, get your shoes clean. So when you appear, she gonna say, boy, I'm really clean up nice. It's gonna look like the everyday man she sees every day. Okay? Next one is third one is control the conversation. A lot of times you're talking about things on the phone because it has become so easy to talk on the phone. However, a face-to-face conversation is the best way to gauge people's truth. To gauge people's heart. So make sure you have topics to talk about on the date. Things that she might have been trying to talk about, but you didn't get into detail. Bring these things up so she don't get bored, so you don't get bored and you're looking all over the room and she's looking all over the room because you failed to engage her. I saw one of this and I felt so sorry for the girl. You could tell that she wanted to talk, but the guy was so disconnected and unengaged. He was twisting, tossing, fidgeting in his chair, fidgeting with his beard, and it was
because he wanted to be at her house, Mary. Let's come back to you, Mary. I don't know. We have been losing Desmond. Has been in and out. Mary, it's quite an engaging thing that you're putting forward there.
Yes.
It is quiet. But we're going to come back to you. Desmond, we don't want to lose you again.
That's number 4 when I come back. No problem.
Okay.
So right. apparently my first what I said first about the speaker, it was not you did not hear that.
We heard that you were saying that
Okay.
the speaker and the prime minister together were heads of two branches of the government, as you were saying, of the cabinet, that is the executive, and the legislature, that is the parliament, at least one chamber of the parliament.
Yes.
Yes, so we heard
No,
that.
sir. No, sir. The country would we continue. The bloodletting in the country continues, sir. Continues. And as I indicated the last time, one of my main concerns is that the too many murders are being committed in where we traditionally know as very lonely, very quiet areas, rural areas. Just this week, up in Cane River, a rural community in the Prime Minister's wife constituency, that they went there, gunmen rob a number of people and murdered a man. This man is somebody who I know. He's one of the quietest person in the district. They were sitting, he was among a group sitting on a wall when the gunmen came. And he was shot and killed. Now, all over the country, sir, the murder rate continue. You observe this week, last week, there was another double murder in Salt Spring. And what is clear is that we have seen no new strategy. We are not aware of any significant plan by the state to protect the citizens. And this is totally unacceptable. We cannot continue like this. And the state remain silent and inactive. It is out of control and totally unacceptable.
I'd love to hear any comment that you have as well, Mary. But here's my concern with all Desmond. And last week, the Chamber of Commerce survey done by Don Anderson pointed out that more than 50% of business people considered crime a major issue, and that it was a deterrent. It was holding back business. And part of the statistics that knocked me down is that most of them did not see the situation getting any better with crime. Now, I have said to people, and I've heard people say this to me, we don't know where else to go, what to do, because it doesn't seem that anybody has the answer. Desmond, give me your response to that, and Mary, if you want to jump in anytime. It doesn't seem that there's anybody has the answer, because this thing is just going. It is hurting people. It is holding back the country. It is just this crime monster is really a monster. It's not a cliche to say crime monster anymore. Desmond.
Well, let me make it clear that one of the things that we must never forget, that the state, the Jamaican state, and all others in every country, the state, one of its primary duty is to protect its citizens. So when we say we don't know what to do and nobody has the answer, no, the state must lead the role in finding answer. We mustn't let go of that. Yes, of course, we all have our roles to play as citizens, but the Jamaican state, the government of the day, is responsible for protecting its citizens, and we must hold them accountable. This argument about we don't know what to do and nobody has the answer. They were elected, and part of their duty is to protect the citizens.
Well said. Desmond, Mary, did you have a point? Did you want to come in?
I'm just thinking, Sir Mac, that I hear Brother Desmond and I hear the people around me. I hear myself. I hear the news. Crime, maybe because I have a Christian perspective, I don't get as wound up about the government's responsibility or the government's lack of thereof. Because I see it in a Christian perspective that what is happening in Jamaica, in the world, is just part of prophecy and part of what we have to go through for people like myself who believe that there's an end and that certain things must happen in along that journey towards the end.
So why this prophecy not going on in Sweden or in Japan? Why or in this side of the world in Costa Rica? Why people are not dying in those large numbers in those countries? Murders.
Well, for that, I think the prophecy is just general worldwide. You're going to have it in some areas that are the leading the way while others are less passive. However, one of the things why some areas may be leading the way, like Jamaica, may have a lot to do with the decay of the moral fiber of the people. When people have lost respect for life or respect for purpose, for persons, or they have lacked direction and purpose, then you will find that they engage in activities such as crime and wickedness. Those things have existed long before Jamaica came on the scene and experiencing theirs. Other countries, other nations have done it. So it's just part of what happened when people are like without purpose. They turn to crime, violence.
So Mary, what you are saying is that it is part of it is God. It is God ruling that 21,000 Jamaicans, we have murdered 21,000 Jamaicans for the last 20 years. And it is also ruling that we must suffer. We must continue to lose our life. That it is part of our destiny. And we are supposed to be God's children. That's what you are saying.
It's not God's nothing. I don't believe anything is God's ruling, Brother Desmond. I believe that God has the power, however, to see, and that is why he's able to prophesy, because he can see ahead and see what Jamaica is going to do in the next 1 million years that we don't yet see today. So all he has done is to document that these things are going to happen before we get to the end. So God is not ruling that Jamaicans make their own choices, and choices brings consequences, and those consequences either result in positive things or negative things. Because if we don't put our hand to the plow on certain things, then it won't open a certain Pandora box into our existence. So different countries make their own decisions to do certain things, and that opens the gateway and makes them a part of the prophecy. But God,
I want to make a quick response to that, and then I'm going to pick up from there.
Yeah. Well. I don't agree with Mary's perspective. I certainly don't agree with that. You see, the Christian philosophy is something that has been used to, for example, the Christians, the ministers were on the site of the slave ships. They blessed the slave ships that took millions of Africans to these countries all over the world, right? I certainly don't agree with the Christian perspective, but everybody has a right to have a perspective and have opinions on these matters. I believe and I maintain that the rulers, those who govern, they have a duty to protect the citizenry. I maintain that.
Okay, I'm gonna move on.
I may ask Brother Desmond one quick question, because he can always. I believe that wisdom lies with the nation, not just with the elected officials. You have been following this crime and violence thing. You are very close to it. What suggestions would you give to the government that they could implement to fight crime and violence in this dispensation?
Fair enough questions, and we're going to come back there.
No problem.
Let me just attach myself to that. Desmond, you can think about it. You have thought about it, and come back on it later. My issue this morning is what is happening to many of our young people who just seem to have gone astray. And I'm seeing it being reflected in some of the murder statistics, apart from the fact that we know that most of the crimes are being committed by people somewhere between 18 and 24. I'm not just talking about that. I'm just talking about some social behaviors now, which I see on the street. If you go into most inner city communities, what some people call ghetto communities, some people call informal communities, on the corners, sometimes at a little shop, sometimes just on the corner, literally, there are young men who are drinking, rubbing out their hand middle, as they say. It's often using ganja or cigarettes or whatever, smoking, drinking early morning. I'm talking about 7:30 people. I'm talking about 8 o'clock. The first thing that they're having is a drink of alcohol. Many of them are wearing their pants below their butts. Now, that is their own social identity situation. But here is what I find also very distressing. I know several people, and I've been tabulating this over the last 3 months. People who cannot get any young male, in particular, young women to a lesser extent, to work. Young men who are not employed at all. Young men who are not employed in any way, not getting anything regular. They cannot get them to work. I know of a mechanic who has been begging young men nearby to come and learn the thing or to come and start to help. I know a caterer. I know 2 caterers. I know other people in business, small business, and they're not turning up. Is it because of the salary? I don't have all the details and all the answers. But they're not going at all. In one case, I know where a young man was on the verge of saying, all right, he's going to go and try it. On the day, he said he couldn't find $200 for bus fare one way and $200 back. And he didn't know where to get the lunch. 24-year-old young man, never worked. There's something that's going on among our young people in particular that needs to be dealt with. I am going to make the link, and I'm making the link, and I don't have enough time here, with some of the violence that we are seeing out there. Just this last week, as I said, a young man was arrested and charged, not convicted yet, hasn't gone to court yet, for the murder of his brother. We have heard of several cases where young people in the same family are warring over land, over all manner of stuff. The police have said domestic violence is on the rise. We see it around us. We know it around us. My issue is, and I'll come back to this another time, there is no involvement that is going to turn back the maladaptive behavior that we are seeing among so many of our young people. I leave it there this morning, and I'm going to go to Desmond to answer Mary's question before we go back to Mary to take us back through the other issues of the date. Desmond, your suggestion.
Well, Mary, Franklin just gave you part. Franklin just gave you part of the answer, but let me give you another part. Now, when you look at the crime problem in Jamaica, do you see the level of crime and the social breakdown up in Beverly Hills and Cherry Gardens and those upper classes, the communities? No, you don't see them. So therefore, and you have people living up there, right? Young people, old people. That should tell you that what has broken down in Jamaica is the social issues. And a major part of solving this crime problem is to address the social problems in the communities. We must focus on those in order that people will understand, make people understand that there is a life to live.
We're going to stop it off there, but we're right up on the end, and we're going to say that we'll ask you next time to set out your program. We'll give you 2 minutes unimpeded to set out your program for solving crime. Mary, I am so sorry we have not been able to get back to the date, but guess what? Next week we're going to be able to come back and take on a good date, or how to be good on a date.
Yes.
And you said that you were going to take it from there to where again, Mary?
To the next topic I was looking at is why does the same man pay pennies for one woman but millions for another? Same man, 2 different women, different price tags. Why?
My goodness. All right. Well, we want to thank you all for this morning. Special thanks to you, Mary White, author, blogger, businesswoman, for being with us this morning. Desmond Richards, journalist, founder of Rebel Radio Jamaica, Rebel Radio, and that's at East Station. And Joshua Black, who provided technical support this morning. We want to thank you all. We're reminding you, please subscribe. Please share the podcast, Frankly Speaking Jamaica podcast, with your friends. And look, in another 2 hours or so, you will be able to go on and see the highlights of this podcast. Thank you very much for being with us. I'm Franklin McKnight. Until then.